Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today on Masechtas Ketubot daf Chaf Aleph, we are going to begin on the bottom of Chaf Amid Beis by the Mishnah. Ze omer ksav yodi v'ze ksav yodi shel chaveri, v'ze omer ze ksav yodi v'ze ksav yodo shel chaveri. So you have on a star two signatures, and each of the two people that signed verify that this is not only my signature, but it's also the signature of my friend. So Hari Elonim Monim. Obviously they're believed. This is Rashi Teika Trei Sahadi. You have two witnesses. The Masahadi Akol Ksav Ksav. You have two people testifying on each of the signatures. Now, what happens if Zeh Oimer that Zeh Ksav Yadi Zeh Oimer Zeh Ksav Yadi? Now, each one is only saying this is my signature, but they're not verifying their friend's signature. So Srichin L'Sarf Yimahen Acher Diva Rabbi. So Rabbi holds that you actually need to bring another person in order to be able to equal the two witnesses, because what each of you are doing is really equivalent to just one witness total, and therefore you need another person to be able to verify the other signatures. Chacham Omrim no. You don't need this. You already have these two guys. All you have to do is say, this is my signature, and that's sufficient. You don't need to have a witness to say, this is my signature and my friend's signature. Just verifying your own signature is sufficient. Now, when you think about it, Rabbi. According to Rabbi, who says you have to bring in someone else, as we continue, he must hold Aksav Yadan Him Me'idin, that they're actually testifying on their signatures, and therefore, since they're testifying on their signatures, you need to have two witnesses on each of those signatures. However, when it comes to the Chachamim, it's not necessary. All you need is each one to verify its own signature, and it's as though there are now in a Beis Din and orally verifying that there was a loan. So two people, therefore, is enough. In fact, the Gemara Pshita, obviously, that must be the reason behind it. So, maybe the reason why Rabbi said in his situation that the din is that we're strict is because he's just in doubt, and therefore he doesn't know if then therefore he's just being machmir and saying, you know what, we better get another group of witnesses to come in just in case it's al ksav yadam heim eden. So what's the nafkamina? But nafkamina hechada meischai minayu. If he's going l'chumra, so then he's not going to hold. In this situation, ksav yadan hein meidin is a chumra, but in another situation it could be a kula. How do we see that? What if one of these two witnesses died? Hechada meischai minayu. So leboy shtaim in a shuk. You're going to need two people to come to the marketplace from the market lahedalav to testify. So one person is saying that this is my signature, but now you need someone else to come in. Actually, you need two, according to him. De'im kain, because if not, kanafik nechiriv de b'mayna pum b'dechad sahada. There's a very famous expression. One person is really saying all the testimony outside of 1/4. Basically, this person is saying 3/4 of the testimony. Rashi says over here, v'anan al pishnaim eidim be'inan. You need to have two witnesses that each one is chatzi davar al piv shel zeh v'chatzi davar al piv shel zeh. Each one has to be only giving 50% of the testimony. Hilkach miboy trey. You need two people, not one other person. If he's actually holding, he has a suffix who go l'chumra in this situation required two. In other words, the other aide who was alive that signed cannot testify since he'd be 3/4. Since he testifies, the loan happened. So that's 50% off the bat. Then he, together with one other person, is doing the Kim Hashtar on the dead man's signature, which means that each one is testifying 1/4, which means this person is actually doing 3/4. Therefore, he cannot testify on the other person's signature. You need to have two other witnesses to come, because otherwise it'll be 50. He'll be doing more than 50%. Now, even though those two are doing 1/4 each, but it's okay because it just means that you cannot have any edus of a one person doing more than half of the testimony. Kamashimon, the Rebbe Mifshab Shitale. The whole chiddush is that really he holds the davar pashut ben l'kul ben l'chumra. Not only l'chumra like in our Mishnah, but also l'kula. In this situation, you would not need to have two people come, because if he holds ksav yadim him idin, so therefore, as we said, that they're testifying upon their own signatures. So in this situation, he should be able to be mistarf with the other person. Okay. Diyom Rabbi Yehuda Marav Shnaim hachasum min mal shtar. If you have two people assigned on a star, umeisachem mehem, one person died. Mehem srichin shnaim in a shuk. So this is according to the Tanakama, not according to Rameir. According to Tanakama, you would need two from the shuk. Loheda lebezu. Reb l'kula v'rabban l'chumra. V'i leika trei el chad. So we have a problem. What if there's only one person? So what is this? What do we do? Does that mean the shtar can never be used? No. So Omer Abaye lichtel chasimus yadei chaspa. Very interesting idea. So this living aid should write his name on a piece of pottery, on some other document, and he should throw it to the Beis Din. And what'll happen? So he's not going to be doing anything to verify his own signatures, because they'll be kim shtaros by the Beis Din. They're going to see, oh, it's b'makam acher. We could therefore compare this signature to that signature. Therefore, he will not be needed to testify on his own signature. Therefore, now, since he hasn't done anything, he together with this other guy can come, and can testify on the other. But you should only put it on earthenware, a megilta lob, but not on parchment. Why? Maybe a person who's going to find it who's the little mali, someone who's not a good person. Because of Allahi my boy, and he's going to write, oh yeah, this person owes me $1 billion, and apparently there's a verifiable signature, which seems to improve to show this is the case. Utanan, hoitzilav ksav yadai. If let's say there's a document that says person owes money, go b'menachasim b'nei chayrin. You can collect from b'nei chayrin money. So the halacha is like the chachamim, which again in our Mishnah, because they hold almana shebishtar me'idin. Therefore, if you have one person says ksav yadi, the other one says ksav yadi, so that's enough. So that's a kula. But in the case of one of them dying, the chomer would be that you need two witnesses from the shuk. So you would think that the halacha is like him, even against the rabbim. No, the halacha is like the rabbim, as we generally say, Yachav Ram Halach Rabbim. Okay, question 3. Ma hachumra ladina libadaman de'emer deni kiyam al ksav yadan him eden v'loy al mana shebishtar ma halacha b'nivin zeh. Okay, so this is like the chachamim. The chumrah is you need two witnesses al kol ksav ksav. Mashein kain I al mana shebishtar him eden, then betray sagi. The halacha de al mana shebishtar him eden. Okay. Siman nach nadchad. Amrle Rav Chinna Bar Chil Rav Yehuda B'Yermel Rav Huna Bar Yehuda Rav Yehuda B'Yermel Rav Chia Bar Yehuda Rav Yehuda Miyomer Shmuel Halach Hachi. The Shmuel really said the halach is like the Chachamim, and therefore Almana Shebishtarhim Eden. Again, it's as though they're now in Beis Din and orally verifying that there was a loan, so the two people is enough. There was a star that came out of Shmuel's Beis Din. It was written the following quote: from the time that Rabbi Anan Bar Chia came, he testified regarding signatures. Also, also on someone else, Rav Chanan Barabba. So, Rav Chanan Barabba v'yasid achasimas yadei. So that's the quote. So it was accepted. Now, what exactly is this problem? So if you look at Rashi, Midas Rav Anan Alma Karebi Sriole Shesar Chaloimer Zek Sav Yadi V'Zek Sav Yadi Shel Chaveri. You need to not just mention your signature; you have to also mention the signature of your friend, which is not like the Rabbanon. So the reason why each testified on not only on their own but also the signature of their friend, which seems like the sheet of Rabbi, not the Chachamim, is because this is a special document which was for orphans, and because of that, the Chash Shmuel were based in Toyin. Is concerned of a Beis Din potentially making a mistake. Says Rashi, She'imul Kasavoy El ploini heyed al ksav yado, ploini al ksav yadoi. Which even though that's what we pass like, if that's what we've written, Shemek kishiyotzi hayisaimim shtar zeba based in, maybe when the assignment go to collect it, ligvais yeheb oisa based in toya. Maybe they'll make a mistake. Maybe they'll think the halacha is like Rabbi, and therefore, because of that, to make sure that the assignment will definitely get what's coming to them, they went above and beyond to write. Not only is this person verifying his signature, but also the signature of his friend. Even though the truth is not necessary, but he took extra precautions to make sure that the assignment would not be losing out. The Sabar Shmuel Dilma Ika Desfirule Halacha Rabbi Mechaveroi Mechaverov. That there's some people that hold the halacha is only like Rabbi when it's against an individual, but not against the Rabbanan, which is the case. However, for some reason, in this case, Afil Mechaverov, Savar Evid Ravcha. Again, we decided to do a little bit more so to make sure that the assignment were protected. So this is a new halacha that they combine as two witnesses, that this was a valid document. So even if you have one witness and the other person's the judge, that judge can count as a second witness to be able to validate the document for Kim Shtaris. So Amar Rabbi Bar Chama, Kama Malya Hashmais. How great is this sugya? So Amar Rabbi, what do you mean? Mamal Yusa. Madikamasid Sahada Loy Kamasid Daine. Umaidikamasid Daine Loy Kamasid Sahada. What each one is testifying is not the same thing. So why is it such a good thing? Because as Rashi says, that when it comes to the witnesses, the Edi Hashtar Me'idin Almana Shebashtar Karabanan, they're testifying on the validity of the document. And the Dayanim are saying that in front of us it was verified. So they're saying two totally separate things. So how is it such a great thing that was being said? It's not good. Ki also Rami Bar Yecheskel Omer Loy Tetzi Sinhu Lahani Kloli. Don't listen to these general rules. The Kal Yehuda Achim Ishmei Shmuel. Don't listen to what is being recited as we continue Chaf Aleph Amud Beis. Ikla Rav Noi Achud Rav Chi Barabba Lemizbin Shumshmi. So he was coming to engage in a transaction with sesame seeds. Nonetheless, he said that a judge could be combined together with another witness. Omer Amemer Kama Malia Hashmaisa Samalei Ravashi Lamemer Mishum de Kalsa Vua de Imoch, because your mother's father praised this. Adnami Mekalsa Le, so you're also going to praise it? So Kfar Parcha Rava. Rava already asked a question on this, and therefore because of that, it seems to be problematic, and therefore you would think an aid and a dayan cannot be mitzdarf, because again, they are doing separate things. Question TA5, which is Chaf Aleph Amud Beis. Madul Maskana Ein Aid V'dayin Mitzdarfin. Why should they not be able to combine? So this is actually Rashi, that Ha'aid made Almana Shebashtar. The witnesses is testifying on the document. But Dayan made Al Hakiyum. And the Dayan is verifying that in fact the signatures are valid. They're totally two separate things, and therefore they should not be able to be mitzdarf to be able to make it as though now there's two witnesses. Okay. Weiter the Gemara. So the Gemara says like this: Omer Rav Safra, Omer Rabbi Abba, Omer Rav Yitzchak, Bar Shmuel, Bar Marta, Omer Rav Huna, V'Yarmel. Some say it was Omer Rav Huna, Omer Rav Shleishish Yashul Kaimas Ashtar. Let's say you have three people that came to verify a document. Shnayim Akirin Chasima Yisidei Edim. Two of them recognize the signatures of the witnesses. However, one of the three do not recognize these signatures. Ad Shelo Chasmu, until the signatures Me'idin B'Fana V'Chaisim. So what we should do, the test of we should say me'idin bifana v'chaisim. These two people should turn to this third guy, and the third one will basically act like a judge, and he'll be able to therefore sign. Says Rashi, lifnei shlishi shezeu ksav yadan shel chasumin, because you only need two people, so those two people will testify in front of him. However, mishachasmu, Ein me'idin b'fanav v'chaisim, says Rashi, the chasima kamaisa b'shakra havi, the lav tlosa havi diadu. If it was already signed, then it's problematic because there was really not three people that knew. Umikas v'ina, do we actually write such a thing? Is that really true? V'yam Rav Papi mishmei de Rav Ahaya sharta didaini. When it comes to a shrata, which is lashon chayzik, a strong document of judges, the nichtav mikmei dinechava sahadi, that it was written before the Edom came, a chasimus yodahu pat psula. There was chazik shikra, because if they wrote this before the witness came, it looks like false. So how can I mischazik shikra? So this also looks like it's a lie, having this third guy come and having him sign. Not signing it, which is mashma, the whole thing could have been written. No, before it was written, it can testify in front of this third guy who doesn't know anything, and then sign. However, so so it has to be that this all took place before the writing of the document. First thing we see is a person who is a witness can be transformed instead to being a judge. If you have judges that recognize the signature of the witnesses, they do not need to testify in front of them. If you don't recognize them, you have to testify in front of every one of them. So that's very clear. We saw this when we do. The third guy, we make him into a judge. When it comes to the judges that recognize the signatures, you don't have to testify in front of them. Maybe you do need to testify in front of them. The difference in this situation is to come a kaima haggadah b'chad, because the haggadah is in one, says Rashi. They're saying it in front of this one person who doesn't know, so maybe that's why it's different. Gemara further says, when it comes to the judges that do not recognize the signatures, you have to testify in front of them. Maybe you don't have to testify in front of each one. In this situation, he doesn't know, says Rashi, because if you don't testify in front of him, that's not haggadah. So Yosef Rav. So the question is, how do we actually see these other two things other than Eid Nasadayin? So Yosef Rav Abba v'Karmel Hashmaisa the Eid Nasadayin. Eis v'Rav Safra bar Rabbi Abba. It's Mishnah Rosh Hashanah. You have three people that saw the Kiddush HaChaydish, the Hein Beistin, and they are also a court. Yamdu Shnaim, so two can stand up. Yoshivu mechavereim, and two of them will stand in front of their friend. Eitzel Yachid. V'Yidib of Neim will testify in front of them. V'Yomer Mekudish HaKaydish Mekudish. And a Yachid Neman Aidei Atzma. He can't say the testimony himself. Yisach L'Tarta De Nasadayin. Lami Kulihai. Why is this necessary? Leisvu B'Duchtai. Let them sit in their seat. L'Kache and just be sanctifying it. Must be because you hold ein nasadayin. So I actually had the same question. Yishilti Rav Yitzchak bar Shmuel bar Mart, Rav Yitzchak Rav Huna l'chiyah barav Rav Yermelhu Hanachin is a chaydish deraisa. Kim shtaros derabanan. So very pashut and nafkamina. That when we're talking about this whole notion of edus a chaydish, because it's a din deraisa, so we're going to go strict, which is question 4. Hey, im eid nasadayim. So yeah, if we're dealing with a din deraisa, so we're not going to say a judge can be a witness can become a judge. But we're talking about kimishtaris, which in itself is all din derabanan, the verification of the documents. So there we're going to be more lenient, and we will say that a person can do so, which is the exact same question as TB6, which asks the same question. Im eid nasadayin, and as we said, b'deraisa ein Eid Nasadayan, but Rabbanan Nasadayan Adkan.